You are about to witness history in the making.
Welcome to another Pop Culture Gamers special. Today we're going to have a nice little chat about Steven Spielberg. And before we kick off, Haydn, how you doing, mate? You right?
I'm doing very well, Steve. How are you?
Yes, it seems like an age since we last spoke as well. It seems a long time.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on at the moment, but there always seems to be something that keeps interrupting our flow.
I know. And even gaming time is down to a minimum these days.
Yes, definitely.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through Steven Spielberg's directorial career and just highlight some of the movies that we've liked most. We will try and maybe do it in some sort of order from when they came out. If that works well, that's good. So, me being the oldest, should we start with one of the earliest ones I've seen?
Yeah, go on then.
So, back in 1971, when I was about 6.
When I was born.
And you were born, there was a TV movie called Jill.
Yes, there was.
You may well have seen this, actually, haven't you? I think
I have seen it. I've seen it several times. I've not seen it for 2 decades.
Yeah.
But I have seen it.
I'm going to have to dig it out, actually. And for a TV movie, for someone, I think it's very clever. Limited budget, but that's what TV movies are like. They had a strong main character.
Yes.
Who's done many TV shows in the past as well.
I don't think there was that many people in it, was there?
Well, I suppose what you could say is you've got the main character was played by Dennis Weaver. Now, many people probably haven't got a clue who he was. But back in the day, he did a cop show called... Oh, do you know, that just went straight out of my head then. McLeod.
Mm.
And he always used to ride his horse as well in the town. Did you ever see that?
Not really, no. A little bit before my time.
Yeah. And the story goes that a businessman is on his trip home through the desert and he's pursued by this oil tanker. And it's their battle of wits between the two of those through the whole movie. So I think it's what you would call one long car chase.
Basically, yeah. I must admit, though, in terms of this, I never understood what the truck driver thing was, why he was doing it, other than he was just a maniac.
Do you think he cut him up some point and didn't like it?
It's a little bit extreme, though, isn't it, really?
Well, these days, you don't know what happens if you cut someone up. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's very true. That's very true.
But anger management then probably wouldn't have been as bad as it is today.
Mm.
I'd say really enjoyed that. I'd seen it a few times. I might even actually fucking find it from somewhere. I may just go back and have a little look at that film. I'm sure somewhere on the internet there's a way to pick that up, I'm sure.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah. Moving on from there, before we go any further, that's something I wanted to talk to you about. And I love figures.
Yeah.
So, have you an idea how much Steven Spielberg is worth without Googling it now?
500 million.
That's a little bit off the mark, but it was $3.6 billion US.
Wow.
Just a few bits of change there, I think.
Stephen, if you're listening, I'll have your 0.6.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I think, rightly so, that guy, what he's done for movies, and I suppose pop culture, essentially.
Well, when you look through his film list, there's so many iconic things to do with pop culture that he's either directed or produced. Particularly produced, because he's got 167 producing titles to his name on IMDb, whereas he's only got 57 as a director. Don't worry, we're not going to go through every one of those 57. I think that there's 2 that we're not going to talk about. Joking. But...
Yeah, and he's probably one of the biggest directors of our time.
Yeah, I would say he probably is. He's there with, Cameron, Lucas.
Well, I
Ridley
think he's
Scott.
probably above all of those, to be honest. If there was a tree of directors.
Yeah. But do you think that that's because of some of the more culturally iconic things that he's brought to the table rather than because of how good he is? Because I don't think he's any better than, say, Ridley Scott or Cameron or Lucas, or
I think it's trying to say what a director does and how they want to see a film brought to the screen.
Yeah.
And how they sort of do that in a process is where, for him, and how he works with children, whether they're 6 years of age or they're teenagers.
Yes, he's done quite a few films with teenagers.
And he's always I think he always brings out the best in those actors and actresses that he started with. And
we have some big stars to thank for him as well. Like Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, absolutely true. Because she went to try for Poltergeist.
Yeah. But
got E.T. I think it's just. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just the way that went. I mean, he was only producing Poltergeist. He wasn't directing it, but he obviously was involved heavily with that.
Mm.
Anyway, so if we go back to our favourites, and so from after Duel,
should we rate some of these films as well? Say like out of 5, how much we like them.
Can do, yeah.
Okay, so what about for Duel then? This was basically, it was a truck with a faceless driver. I'm not even sure whether or not there was actually ever supposed to be a driver in it.
No, there was. The driver was in it because there was at one point he got out and he was in the cafe, in the sort of with these sort of canteen side truck places, and he was trying to work out who it was. But all you used to see was either his feet when he was walking in or out.
Because there was I don't know whether it's a follow up to this or a bit of a copycat where it was a black car. I don't even know that it was called Duel 2 or whatever, but it was a black car that was possessed by Satan.
You're not on about Christine, are you?
Yeah, well, it might be. Yeah, but, it's a similar sort of thing. It's just this is a truck driver.
Mm.
And the principle is the same. It's, a driver or a vehicle that is constantly chasing someone else. But I quite like this. I remember watching this as a kid.
I was enthralled, seeing this sort of this. I mean, back in those days, the cinema experience was a bit behind, but to see a quality film like that on the screen, on your black and white TV, as it probably would have been then for most of us, it was a treat, I think.
Yeah, I would give it probably about 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that.
Yeah.
After that, I never did see Sugarland Express.
No, me neither.
But I did like Goldie Hawn, so I never got round to seeing it. But I suppose the thing that we know today, called the summer blockbuster, was invented by Steven Spielberg.
Yes, it was.
And in 1975, Jaws came out.
Yes. Which
probably changed the way we think and look at movies from there onwards.
Yes, and it was... Well, it's an icon in films, isn't it, really? Anybody does the Jaws theme tune, you know what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody knows that, even today, when you're considering that Jaws was 1975.
And it's past its 40th anniversary, so it's well on halfway towards its 50th now.
Yeah.
And that film, as a child, has resonated with me to this day.
Yes.
As much as one of my favourite movies of all time, which I'm not going to mention this because it's nothing to do with this, but this film is still up there with it.
Mm.
And this film did have ripples of putting people off going to the beach and going in the sea.
Yes.
You wouldn't believe...
Which, to be honest, at Blackpool, there's not that many sharks.
No, there's not that many. But overall, the amount of... not the publicity for this film, but the awe of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible.
It created a good atmosphere in terms of it as a film. I mean, and it spawned so many sequels as well. And what I loved, which obviously is one that he produced, but in Back to the Future, where they went, in Back to the Future 2, where it was like, Jaws 37 or something.
Yeah, because I think, if I remember rightly, because Marty McFly was standing outside the cinema, and it was like similar to like a 3D experience cinema, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the shark come out of the sign, didn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And he said, and the sharks still look fake.
Yeah. So even that perfect example of how that film, integrated into the wider pop culture as well. And if you ever want to create a bit of suspense when you're telling a story or whatever, you do the Jaws theme. So I think it's as a movie, it's a good movie, but it's not fantastic. But at the time when it came out, it was a big thing because it was something that was really quite new. Yeah,
I mean, you saying it's not fantastic now. I think the movie still holds up. Obviously,
I'm not saying it doesn't hold up. I'm just saying it's not like, maybe it's because I've seen it too many times, but it's not like. But
the way movies have gone over the decades now, and how they're filmed, the spectacle, and how that we have CGI and everything else.
Yeah.
That comes into producing and bringing out these great movies. Where Jaws was, back in the day, they had to have a model shark that kept breaking down, and they did the best they can for how the technology they had on those days.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
There was about 3 or 4 Bruce the shark that was running around, and many of them broke down during the filming. And the other thing, not that we're going to talk about someone else that really is a collaborator with Steven Spielberg, but you got to owe it to him for having John Williams come up with such a fantastic score.
Oh yeah.
That if you watched a scene of Jaws without the score, it doesn't work as well.
No, it definitely doesn't.
And really,
because it's that music that builds that suspension.
And I will never forget, I was watching a TV show with the lead up to the release of Jaws. There was an old TV show that used to be on BBC about 6:00 in the evening. It was a new sort of a new style show. I think it was called Nationwide, and they had John Williams on there, and they showed a 2-minute clip with and without his music.
Yeah,
and it showed you that level of the scene of what was happening, because I remember exactly what scene it was, because it was a scene where there was a guy with a joint of meat it was his wife's Sunday roast, and they went out to the pier, threw it on a chain out to sea with a rubber dinghy as to hold it in a position, and the shark took the bait and pulled away half the raft of the pier. And then he was swimming back to sea, trying to swim back, and then you saw that broken bit of pier physically turn round and then sort of chase him back to the beach.
Yeah.
And it was really clever that playing that piece of music the way they did, it gave you that sense of dread, thinking that he was going to get taken out by the shark.
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about the premise of Jaws, okay, and other films that are of that era as well, like Piranha. Do you remember those ones? Which I know they weren't Spielberg, but
no. Oh yeah, well, my favourite of them is the Piranha 3D. I think that was one of my favourites.
Yeah, no, that was much later. No, I mean the original sort of ones.
Oh god,
where, yeah. Where these build, that tension, and about how everybody's in imminent danger. If you don't go in the water, you're fine. It's only for those people who were stupid enough to think, I'll go in the shark-infected waters.
Well, that's what Brody said to Matt Hooper when he said, I'm not stupid enough to go into that boat.
Exactly.
Poor bloke.
This is
a freaking heart attack when that head came out of that boat.
It is what amuses me about, some of these films, really, is because it's a bit of a broken premise, because they create this horror, but if you just don't go in the water, you're not going to be affected.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you could be affected, I suppose, if your loved one was the one that got swallowed by the shark, for example.
Yeah.
Like the little Kintner kid that died on the raft. Obviously, it affected his mum, you know, the way anyone would do. But yeah, just overall, the last third part of the movie where you had you had them all out at sea trying to get the shark and that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fantastic, and I always recommend, if you've never seen the remastered print of that movie, is to rewatch it now with the latest. I think it'd probably be the latest Blu-ray they've got now, which is probably the 40th anniversary, where they've cleaned the print up, and it just looks great. It really does.
I think I might watch it again because I haven't seen it for donkey's years, and I do like a bit of Roy Schneider as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, the actors they chose for that film,
They were perfect.
it was just, I mean, their careers, obviously, Roy Schneider, that was very early in his career, and Robert Shaw, who's done some stuff. He was in From Russia with Love, wasn't he, in the Bond movie, playing a villain. And
Here's the interesting thought. Do you think Roy Schneider would have got his role on Sequest if he hadn't done Jaws?
You never know, do you?
No. It's one of those things I've always thought, yeah, I bet someone watched Jaws, and later on when they were doing the recruiting for it, said, that guy who was in Jaws, Roy Schneider, why don't we get him? Because that'll bring some of that Jaws fandom over. I reckon that's exactly what they went for there.
And Richard Dreyfuss, of course. They're just great actors in that, really. It just worked. I said one of my old friends has actually been down to New England where they used to film that. I'd love to go down there. But yeah, we better move on because there's a few to go through our favourites.
How are you rating that one then?
Well, that will be 5 out of 5 for me.
For me, I would say 4, but we can agree to differ.
Yeah, we can. So if we move ahead 2 more years,
yeah,
and Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out.
Yeah, one of my favourite Spielberg films.
Yes, and The Train, I think from Jaws now onwards, there's going to be a few there, which is like a train that won't stop going with these movies. And again, John Williams did the score.
Yeah.
And the special effects, it's funny because as much of today's movies, and they give you a little taste of this film, they never showed you the mothership or the special effects at all in any preview. It was always like any sort of TV film show review that was on at the time. They wouldn't allow you to show to show what it was. But again, a fantastic film with a great premise.
Yeah, definitely.
And even spawned the director's cut, which some say was not needed.
I don't know. I quite like the director's cut.
I mean, they took a bit of the middle out and then added the bit on where Richard Dreyfuss would go inside the spaceship and see inside. Well, then that might be left for your own imagination.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, it's a bit like another film that we both like, Blade Runner, where I like the original version, but I don't like the bit trailing through the countryside at the end. Whereas I liked it where the elevator doors shut on the director's cut, and that was it, because that just made it more dramatic.
And do you know where? Just a sidetrack on that. Do you know where that bit of footage came from?
No.
Well, Ridley Scott went to Steven Spielberg and said, "Have you got any scenes I need for this?" He said, "Yeah, these ones I didn't use in The Shining." So if you've ever seen the beginning of The Shining and you see the car where they're driving up to the hotel, a lot of that footage that wasn't used was what they put into Blade Runner. Little fun fact for you.
Oh, well, there you go.
But Close Encounters, I've got my vinyl score of that at home here. It worked. The music was very clever for the idea of giving the signs from being deaf as well, for communication with the aliens.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I would again give this one 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it would be 5 out of 5. It's a great movie. It's not the fastest movie in the world, but it builds a story so well, and you get to the point of you're so desperate to see these aliens. I think it takes you on Richard Dreyfuss' journey through
cracking up.
Yeah. Right from where, he starts to obsess about it, and then he creates a replica of the mountain in his potatoes.
Mm. And
You
do
know,
you
stuff
do you
like
think
that.
do you think Steven Spielberg did the park a very good favour for that? Because ever since then, everyone would want to go to Devil's Mountain
Yeah, probably.
to see that iconic piece of rock, should we say? You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
would you give this 5 out of 5 then?
Oh, definitely 5 out of 5.
Okay. So, do you want to go with the next one?
Yeah, because this is one that we're going to have very, very different opinions on.
No.
So the next-
No. Can we go
Oh,
back
no,
a
sorry,
year?
no, it's the one
Can we
after
go
that,
back
sorry.
a year?
Yeah, go
We're
back
not,
a year.
not 1982. We're talking about 1981.
Yes. So before he started having his dip in his career, he produced another film which has my favourite actor of all time in Harrison Ford, and that is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And again, what a fantastic film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Indiana Jones, you know, he's become a pop culture icon, hasn't he, really?
Mm.
Um,
Do you remember where
and
you saw this film?
when I saw this, in a matter of fact, yeah, I do, because my dad took me to see it at the Odeon in Middlesbrough before it got knocked down. And I absolutely loved the film. And then very unusually, because it never happened before or after, my cousin phoned me up and she said that she was taking her younger brother, my other cousin, to go and see this film 2 days later. So it's the first time I ever double dipped on seeing a film at the cinema.
Oh, right.
As well. And I saw it twice within 2 days.
I mean, funnily enough, I saw this in Bournemouth back in 1981. We happened to be on a weekend away.
Yeah.
And it was raining, and I said to my mate Ian at the time, I said, should we go to the cinema? I went, yeah, why not? And then, what are we going to watch? And I said, well, here's a Steven Spielberg movie. Yeah, it's going to be good, isn't it? And not knowing anything about that film.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah, you'd be absolutely blown away because you didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. And as much as we will talk about some of the other later ones, just references that are made now in other movies from this movie as much as anything else.
Oh, absolutely.
And probably,
Absolutely.
I think it would have spawned a lot of more archaeologists as well from here.
Well, funnily enough, I do know somebody who became an archaeologist because of this.
There you go. So I know how true.
Although she would have to be Mrs. Jones, I would have thought, right? Although her surname certainly wasn't Jones.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I think the other thing as well is, obviously, I think I went to see it originally, and wanting to see it because it had Han Solo in it.
Mm.
Because when you're a kid, you don't think of it's Harrison Ford, you think it's Han Solo. So it's sort of like another Han Solo movie. And then when you get there, you realise, he's not them, but it's still him,
Yeah.
And the whole, I remember seeing the end of that film, and considering it was a PG, how horrific that end moment is when they open up the Ark of the Covenant.
And all the melted faces, or should we
Yeah,
melted
exactly.
face.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, because there's some great bits. I mean, Harrison Ford done his back in halfway through the film,
Yeah.
and he had to fight.
Makes a change from crashing a plane.
It does, doesn't it? And they were doing some street scenes where he was chasing Mariam being kidnapped,
Yes.
and the big dude with the sword come out. So Harrison Ford said, "Well, how about I just shoot him?"
Yeah.
And
And
he
then
went-
they did a homage to that in the next movie as well. Do you remember?
Oh, on the
Where
bridge.
Yeah, even though that was a prequel. Did you know that?
Yeah, no, yeah, well, it was, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think it was the first time I've ever seen a film that had a prequel. Because I don't remember, the Temple of Doom was set, was it 5 or 6 years before Raiders of the Lost Ark supposed to be?
Yeah, I'd have to double check and look, but yeah, I'm sure that one was before.
It was, definitely. But they had exactly the same sort of situation, but he doesn't have his gun, and he has to fight them, which I thought was quite a nice little nod to the previous movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Marion wasn't on that one.
No, and it was, I'd say it's his wife now, Kate Capshaw.
Yes.
Who
his wife in the film.
Yeah, he's married it. He married her, didn't he?
Yes, in the one that we really the out of the trilogy, and the other one that shouldn't have been made.
Oh, that's another debate for about another 5 hours there, isn't it?
No, not really. Not anybody who's seen it.
I think we go back to George Lucas for that. But so, what was your favourite part of Raiders then?
I think where he's standing in that tomb, with the stick, and he's worked it all out and all of that bit. But there's so many quite funny moments as well, isn't there? There's all of the stuff with, snakes and whatever. And there's that bit where he gets kicked into, back into that tomb, and then he falls down and he looks and a cobra sits up.
Yeah.
And if you watch it, you can actually see the piece of glass between him and Harrison.
I know. They probably. I should imagine they've cleaned that print up now. But yeah, there's a slight reflection off there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, definitely, which is quite funny.
But I don't think you really notice it too much.
No.
And I
think
think
about my third or fourth time I watched it.
I think the idea of this movie was giving you that classic 40s style of sort of like the Flash Gordon of the time. Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean,
with the Saturday morning pictures idea.
Yeah, but even though it was set in the Second World War, it still kind of looked modern at that time. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like I never really clicked with me that this was actually set in the Second World War until I actually watched it a few years later. I think it was just so much in awe.
I'd like to know
everything.
How, if anyone nicks someone else's clothes to look like someone in a movie, that they always fit. Yeah,
well, I mean, there's been so many things where people have got dressed up as Indiana Jones as well.
But actually, I think it looked a bit tight because even he was trying to do the top up when he had that Nazi uniform on, after holding his breath for the submarine, which must have been a bit of a feat.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, and he had incredibly small feet.
Yeah,
and the shoes, but think about how much of an impact this film's had on video games, because I don't think we'd have had Lara Croft. I don't think we'd have had Uncharted.
No, I think it's probably spawned some ideas for later that they, but classic. So again, 5 out of 5 for me for this.
10 out of 5 for me.
No, we can't have that. It's 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5, definitely.
Okay, so should we go to the one that you're not too keen on?
Well, it could have been you who might not have been keen on it.
So after this came another blockbuster.
Yes.
With E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yeah, or as I call it, E.T. the Extra Terrible.
Why?
I hate the movie. I absolutely hate the movie. It got to the point of where E.T. dies in the film, and I went, yes! And everybody around me was sobbing. And even my dad.
So how old were you when you saw this movie?
11.
Okay. So I would have been, what would I have been? 1982. That was when I was going up. I went to see that at the Leicester Square, didn't I, when it came out? So, yeah, I would have been about 16, 15.
Mm.
I think I was allowed to wander around on my own, up and down on the train line to go into London then.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a fantastic movie with the premise of a kid that has got a disruptive family with his parents split up, and I think with finding E.T., it puts him straight on a few things, to be honest.
Mm.
But you got to think, if we hadn't had this, you may never would have had Stranger Things.
Maybe not.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I wasn't really that into Stranger Things, to be honest, either.
Yeah,
I tell you, but I mean, for me, don't get me wrong. In terms of story, the story's a good idea. I think that it's filmed incredibly well. I think he's done a good job at directing it. I just don't like it.
Well, I suppose it's I mean, I'm going to say this
sentimental,
but do you know what? I'm a sucker for that, and I'm going to tell you this, but it did put a tear in my eye, even at 16, and I'm just the sort of person I am.
It put a tear in my eye when it came back to life.
Yeah. I know now you're sarcastically saying that, but you know.
No, I'm not. I was thinking, oh God, no, it's not going to end. I was trying to get my dad out of the cinema and he wouldn't.
But I just loved it, and he said, when he came out of the truck on the ambulance, and he said, "Well, can't he beam up?"
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that the point where I started really fell out of love with this was the cycling, and suddenly everybody could fly on bike. So suddenly everyone turned into Peter Pan, and it was just
Actually, I have been on the ET ride at Universal Studios.
Yeah,
that was quite good, actually, I must admit. But no, that was a film for all ages. Now, if a teenager saw that film now, probably wouldn't think much of it and would say, "No, it's just a load of mulch," and not my sort of film. Mm. But I think it was more appreciated by everyone at the time it came out.
I think it was, and to be honest, I know I'm in the minority of people who don't like the movie, but I don't care. I don't like the movie. It's simple as that. It's you can't like everything, and this is just one of those films.
I know. I mean, there are some of other Spielberg movies that aren't. They are great spectacles, but maybe it just depends, really, isn't it? So you're going to give this what, a 3 out of 5?
1.
You give it a 1?
I'll give it a 1. Matter of fact, I would give it a 0, but I'm being kind to you.
Yeah.
I really dislike it. I've watched it 3 times at different ages of my life.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'd rather go and watch The Sound of Music, and that is really saying something.
Well, that's not a bad film, though, is it?
No, I don't like that either. but you know what I mean? It's just, I'd rather watch an episode of Coronation Street than I watch this. At least that.
Well, this is you being Haydn. I'm sure.
It's not. I just don't like the movie. It's not me being me. It's just I would rather watch something else any day of the week.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
I'm surprised you're not giving it a 5. To be honest.
No, I mean, where Jaws and Raiders come out on top more.
Yeah.
It would be, but it's still a fantastic film. His direction's brilliant. The soundtrack is great, again, from John Williams. It works on a lot of levels, and it brings out that probably kid in you to a certain degree as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, if you like sentimental sci-fi,
there's not too many of those about, though, to be honest, is there?
No, there isn't. But if you like sentimental sci-fi, then this will probably be the film for you. But let's say the bit that really turned the tide for me was the cycling, and where they started flying. I just thought it was so incredibly naff, because I don't care what alien coming along, they're not going to be able to just suddenly make a kid riding a bike fly.
Well, and that is science fiction for you. So
yeah, no, but even so, science fiction needs to have some sort of formal kind of grounding.
There's some. There are some real bad sci-fi movies out there, and I mean there are some real bad, and E.T. is nowhere near that at all. Anyway,
in your opinion,
we'll move on, I think, because I'll just moan at you.
Yeah, and I'll just moan at you.
So we could probably skip a few here. We've
already mentioned Temple of Doom, haven't we?
Yes, I was just about to say quickly that the Twilight Zone movie was okay. I did enjoy that. Not that I remember too well now. But yeah, should we kick off with Indiana Jones Part 2?
Yeah. Again, it was a good movie, but to me this was a solid 3. It suffers from the normal thing of the sequel is not as good as the original.
Well, I mean, it's set in a different time. The story is slightly different. I mean, I again saw this at Leicester Square when it came out.
Yeah.
And thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the little take with the little bit of Star Wars thrown in there, with the place where Willie, the nightclub singer, was singing at the Obi-Wan Cafe.
Yeah.
The Obi-Wan nightclub, should we say?
Yes, it was.
An introduction to his sidekick, who went on to play in Goonies. I think I would. It's complete. I would still give this a 5 out of 5 for me.
To me, it didn't have the spectacle that Raiders of the Lost Ark did. It just did not have that je ne sais quoi.
Again, is it because? Am I going to say this now? Is this because of the slight sentimental section in this with all the children? Was that the bit that threw it for you?
No, I don't think so. It didn't work as well. It's still a good movie. You know, it's still sort of like 6, 7 out of 10, but it's average.
Yeah.
To me, at this point, Steven Spielberg seems to have gone over the crescent of the hill, and is on a bit of a downhill a little bit. You know, because no one could be on top form all of the time. And,
oh God, no.
You know, he's done some amazing films, but to be honest, he's done some pretty average stuff as well.
Well, it depends what you call them, because a lot of those sort of average type movies got him Oscars.
Yeah.
Depending on your point of view. The Colour Purple and Empire of the Sun, for example.
Well, I don't think that... You know, I think The Colour Purple was a good movie for the type of movie it was. It's not my my preferred genre. But it's still a good movie, you know, and it was deserving of an Oscar.
Yeah.
Empire of the Sun. I'm trying to remember what happened on that one.
That was to do with... it was during the Japanese War, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
Oh, yeah, it was. I don't think I've actually seen that. But to be honest, you know, let's be honest, I think a lot of the time directors and producers do these sort of movies, you know, these more historically accurate or ones that say something about the social condition.
Well, we'll get onto a few more of those a bit later, but yeah, there is.
Yeah, we do, but I think that the directors do this to win, not maybe subconsciously, but, you know, these are the type of films that get the votes, because for some reason, when you look back historically over, you know, Best Picture, Best Actor, it's always like an historic one, or, you know, it's like that episode of Extras where Kate Winslet is on it. Have you seen that one? Do you remember the one?
I do actually own the DVD of these. Of the
yeah, I have as well. And there's this one where Kate Winslet on, and she's talking to Ricky Gervais.
She's dressed as a nun, remember? Isn't she?
She's dressed as a nun, and she's saying, "Well, I'd better get a bloody Oscar for doing this," you know. And to me, that's always stuck, because the thing about what you know, whether you like him or hate him, in terms of the stuff that he does, Ricky Gervais is pretty much on the pulse. In terms of, you know, that's his thing, is making the satire out of the way that things are, and I think that was a very true comment about Hollywood. In that, if people aren't getting the votes, I think that they do go and look for the roles where they can possibly get one, because let's face it, it helps their bank balance as well, doesn't it? Once they say, well, I'm an Academy Award winning actor. And I think that whether or not it's because they want to do something more, in inverted commas, creditable, as in factually accurate, or, you know, about a factual event,
excuse me,
they seem to be the ones that always get the Oscars, you know, for Best Picture.
Well, Dunkirk didn't get it this year, did they? But there you go.
No, but the one that you know, whatever it is, Billboards in Missouri did.
Oh, three billboards, yeah.
Yeah, that one did, and that's based on a reality again.
Yeah, but Shape of Water won Best Picture, and that was a monster movie come love story.
That is very, very unusual. And let's face it, Best Actor was Gary Oldman for playing Sir Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
You know, it's Titanic Best Picture when it was out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did.
And it's not because it's the best picture ever, but it's the most profitable picture ever.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to move swiftly to 1989.
Yes.
And I remember going to my local High Wycombe cinema, which had in THX installed for sound.
Yeah.
And sat quite near the front, and was blown away by Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yes, brilliant movie.
It was where maybe the second one maybe dipped a bit. This was back on form.
But it was different to the original. It had reinvented Indiana Jones a little bit, because it had gone more comedy based. There was always a bit of comedy in Indiana Jones.
Well, I think you've got to give Spielberg the thumbs up for putting Sean Connery as his dad. Oh yeah,
brilliant move. And I love the thing of, Indy, you're named after the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is so true. But actually, that was George Lucas's dog.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Mm.
So yeah, again, what to say about this movie? It had everything in it. I mean, it was great to see Indiana Jones as a young Boy Scout, played by River Phoenix, bless him, who sadly passed away.
Not long after it, was it?
It wasn't too far after. It had everything you wanted in an Indiana Jones movie, with that sense of the idea regarding the cup for Christ, and the idea for the knights. It was, the whole film just had those moments for a laugh, but it just also had all that excitement as well.
Yes.
But I think if Sean Connery hadn't played his dad, I don't know if it would have been pulled off as good.
No, I don't. I'm not sure. But Sean Connery's such a brilliant actor as well. And that's not dissing Harrison Ford, because he's, equally as good an actor.
Yeah.
But it was the way that they played off each other, and the way that that was directed was absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So
5 out of 5.
Oh, absolutely. It's that is again. I would probably put that one above Temple of Doom.
Oh, definitely.
In there,
definitely.
And yeah, it's excuse me, it's just a fantastic movie. So moving on, and I've lost my page, by the way, as we do this.
91 was Hook, and that had Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams and Julia Roberts.
Now, those were great stars for the time.
They were.
But for me, wasn't all that.
No, I know what you mean.
I mean, I've seen it a few times, and the performances by all the main actors are brilliant. They really did well. I just think, as much as you're trying to recreate a famous Disney cartoon, and
well, it was more like a sequel to it, wasn't it?
Yeah. It probably was more like a sequel. It was okay. It wasn't what I would say is his best work. No,
and it was, considering what it was quite a brave thing to consider doing. But I think it was right for the audience it was aimed at, because it was aimed at families, kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't aimed at, as you'd been in their mid-20s.
Yeah, thank you for that. Reminded me.
And I'd have been early 20s.
Yeah. I think we can move swiftly on with this one. And to be honest, how much of an impact in the cinema with having this new idea of special effects, as they were calling CGI at the time.
Yes. So 1993 you're talking about.
Sorry, 1993. And
which would be Jurassic Park.
What an amazing film.
Yes. Yeah, and it still is an amazing film as well.
It holds up ever so well.
It does. I mean, now when you look, some of the special effects are a little bit ropey in comparison to these days. But I remember watching this at the cinema and being in awe at how it all worked.
Yes, I think this is one film I can say I can watch over and over again, but never get bored with it.
For me, it's one that I'd have to watch no more than once a year. Probably every 2 or 3 years. I do have it on Blu-ray with the other ones, but it's a good family viewing sort of thing as well. It's got that sort of like Doctor Who, hide behind the sofa, kids' fear in it as well.
For those that were kids at the time, yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah. Well,
I think
my son and stuff like that.
I think what this did for dinosaurs, for bringing back the idea of kids looking into for the history side of it.
Yeah.
Because kids always love big monsters.
Oh, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex is.
Well, I'm going to tell you something now, right? When I went to Universal Studios, did all that stuff, and my youngest daughter, Poppy, she absolutely crapped herself on the Jurassic Park ride, because when you get to you're going through you're in like this boat going through all these dinosaurs, and it's all cute and cuddly. Yeah. And this Tyrannosaurus Rex head appears above your head to grab you, and then you just drop on this water slide.
Yeah.
Seeing her picture she was petrified, absolutely petrified. But it wouldn't. If it wasn't for Jurassic Park, I wouldn't have had that ride, which really did give my youngest daughter one of the most scariest times in her life. I think even now, if I asked her now what was the most scariest thing you've ever done, I think she would give me a kick in the shins for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the perfect monster, isn't it, really? Although, when you think about it, it's pretty naff with its short little arms.
It just reminds me of the one in Toy Story.
Yeah. Since watching Toy Story, I've been able to look at a T-Rex in quite the same way.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the performances from all ensued in this one.
And I love Sam Neill as well. I think he's a brilliant actor.
Because really, Sam Neill hasn't done a great deal of he's not like people think who he is. Do you know what I mean? He has done a few movies in his time. I think this was one of the ones.
Event Horizon, The Omen 3.
Yeah, Final Conflict it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jeff Goldblum was great in that as the.
Yeah, I always think whenever I think about Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, I think about that bit where they stop and there's a Triceratops and it's eating something, and then Jeff Goldblum looks and goes, "That's a big pile of shit."
It does, doesn't it?
That is such, because the way he delivers it is absolutely perfect. Because it's like stood next to this massive pile of dung, and of course he is a massive guy as well in height.
He's huge, isn't he?
And that's bigger than him, and it's just so funny.
Yeah,
because he is a funny guy.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Richard Attenborough obviously played Hammond.
Yeah,
fantastic British actor. I think he's actually Sir Richard Attenborough. We should be saying, really.
Yes, we should.
People probably forget that Samuel Jackson was in this.
Yeah, he was. He was in the control room, wasn't he?
Yeah, probably doesn't come to mind to some. But yeah, just overall, it was a great story. Again, great soundtrack from John Williams.
Yeah.
And actually, in September, I was sending Mrs. Oh, can we go? I'd love if we get a chance. But they're showing Jurassic Park at the Royal Albert Hall with the orchestra playing the soundtrack.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Very cool.
Yeah. So, I would say a 5 out of 5 for this one.
Definitely. It's one of the best ones.
Again, always the best ones are the first.
Yeah. But he's also, it was a good year for him, was 93, because there was another classic movie that he did that came out at this time, Schindler's List.
Yeah, which, if I remember rightly, did they get Best Picture off the top of my head?
I think it did, yeah. It's the type of one that does.
With I've forgotten the guy's name now that was the main who played Schindler. Do apologise.
Liam Neeson.
Thank you, yeah.
And Ben Kingsley. Ralph Fiennes is in it.
I think, do you know, I don't remember seeing this at the time it came out.
I didn't either. It was one I watched on TV. And the whole movie's black and white, apart from the one girl in a red dress.
That's it, which is very clever.
As a matter of fact, when I talk about, when I teach, because one of the things I teach on an evening is Photoshop. And when I teach that, I teach what's known as colour popping. So you make the background, black and white, and the foreground colour in colour, or foreground object in colour. I always turn around and I say, like Schindler's List and the girl with the red coat.
People look at you as if we're talking gobbledygook.
No, everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. Don't forget though, everybody I'm teaching is probably 40 plus.
Yeah.
But,
again, we're bringing the forefront of atrocities.
Yeah.
From
the Nazis and the rescue of lots of Jews.
But overall, I mean, it was a fantastic film.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, if anyone had never seen that, I think they should go and find that on their most favourite way to view movies.
Absolutely. Don't be put off by the fact that it's mostly black and white, because it does make it atmospheric as well. Because there's like a lot of people just immediately switch off when they don't see colour on a movie. Well, don't be like that with it, because it is a good film. Yeah. So 5 out of 5 for me.
Absolutely. Where for you, E.T. was probably a poor movie.
Yeah.
AI, artificial intelligence, I've never completely seen because I walked out on it.
Well, we're skipping a little bit because there's 2 others. There's The Lost World.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise. My screen shifted.
All right.
That's okay. So
Jurassic Park 2.
Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World. Which was okay.
Yeah, it was a 3.5 out of 5 sort of movie. It was more of a cash-in than anything else, I thought. But it was okay.
Yeah. I would Not that I remember it that well, to be honest. I think I don't actually own the Blu-ray box set for this. I should actually pick it up at some point.
You can get it for about a tenner.
Yeah. So 3 out of 5 for that one.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. The next one, Amstead. I can't remember actually seeing it.
I've not seen it.
So if we move on to what we will call probably the first collaboration that we'll see many times after, is with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And if you're not into war movies, this won't be for you. But I think the first 5-10 minutes will just let you know what those people had to put up with.
I'm going to say something that never seen it.
You are kidding me.
No, never seen it. And the reason why I've never seen it is because I'm not into war movies. I've seen bits of it. I get the references, but I'm just...
Well, that's fair enough. If you're not into sort of watching... that's because you'd never even seen The Great Escape, but we won't go there on that one. That'd be for another time, but...
Yeah.
No,
I had seen The Great Escape, but just not seen it for very many years.
Oh, okay.
And not all in one go. I've seen the whole movie.
It is a very long film, to be honest. But yeah, I think you should actually sit yourself through it regardless.
Maybe so.
It would be well worth it. And again, that won a few Oscars as well.
Yeah.
So for me, there's 5 out of 5 for Saving Private Ryan. The direction that is incredible. The first 10 minutes is incredible. The fact of how you're seeing this assault on the beaches.
Yeah.
From the gaming point of view, if you remember playing some of those old Call of Duty type games back in the day.
Or Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah. It'd be that for you would probably as close as you're going to get to it.
Yeah, probably.
So we skip forward to where I was trying to get to earlier. AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Have you seen that film?
I have, and
I haven't much to say about that, to be honest.
It's it's mediocre to poor, I would say. Jude Law's in it, and he's not. It's not one of his best.
And you got the little kid, obviously.
Yeah, and it's about basically a robot or an android, whatever it is, that is built as a child, and then his parents, because they treat him like a child, do they die? Or does he get lost or something? And then
I've never completely seen the film, I must admit. Yeah. I just didn't like it. And
then he goes on a trek, meeting other robots and all of that. And to be honest, that's about as much as I can remember of it. It was a very forgettable film.
Yeah.
So I just... Yeah, it's not one of my favourites. I prefer it to E.T., so I'll give it 2.
I'm going to give it 1.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Moving on then, Minority Report, which we've actually chatted about before, because we chatted about this.
This was a film that really gave the current futuristic view of how things are going to be form, I think. You know, like you get the retro future where everybody's wearing tinfoil suits and driving flying cars. This to me is the modern. Well, in 20 years' time, where we'll be going, that's the retro future. You know, where and even now it's starting to age. Is a little bit of this because when you've got Tom Cruise manipulating all of those sort of screens, it's projections onto plastic, whereas now it would be hovering in the air. Still the same sort of readouts and dials, you know, fancy whirly little circles going round with light lines going off and stuff like that.
Yeah, but technology at the time and what you thought would be is this way, this is portrayed on screen.
Yeah, but I quite like this.
It's a great performance from Tom Cruise.
Yeah, one of his best ones.
Oh, I think so, absolutely. Really, I mean, as I say, we talked about this quite a bit last time. I would give this 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, 4.5 out of 5, I would say. It's not absolutely brilliant, but it's a good film that I enjoy.
Yeah. So, if we move on to his next one,
Catch Me If You Can,
and for me, this I think is still up there.
Yeah.
As much as this is more of a drama, but also with the idea of knowing that this is based on a true story.
Yes, indeed.
And I think the actors in this are incredible. I think DiCaprio and Tom Hanks do this brilliantly. And I think DiCaprio has a bit of a hard time over the years with some of his movies.
I think the problem is that even though he's in his, 40s now, DiCaprio looks like he's 6 sometimes.
It's like Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, he is.
Do you know what I mean?
But even Michael J. Fox, you can tell he's older now. Whereas Leonardo DiCaprio, if he didn't have his, whiskers that he keeps growing, you'd think he was a lot younger than he is. He's got like that very childish sort of face, and I think that's probably what was the matter here. But the premise of this was basically it was a story about a true story about a counterfeit young guy who forged his way into jobs and to get money and whatever. And he was from a broken home. And Tom Hanks is the FBI officer.
He's chasing him.
Trying to chase him and tracking him down, hence Catch Me If You Can. And there's this one bit where he actually does phone up and say that to him.
Because what he did, the story is that before his 19th birthday, he successfully forged millions of dollars worth of checks while possessing a Pan Am pilot.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant. I love that film. It's very clever.
It is. It's very good.
I love the James Bond reference as well in that, because that was during the time when Goldfinger came out.
Yeah. It's nice when they put references in like that.
Yeah, because he was trying to pretend. He bought the same suit, if I remember right, that Sean Connery would have worn.
Yes.
In Goldfinger.
Yeah.
But for me that is actually. I need to see that soon. I think I have to dig that one out somewhere.
Yeah, it is one of those ones that you really want to watch every now and again. And it was straight. It shows how strange, whatever this is. But my wife, who really doesn't get movies at all, she actually wanted to see this and enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and that sort of like very, very rare for my wife.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure my wife has seen it. I'm sure if I stick it on, she'll say, "Oh, why are you watching this again?" But I will give it a go. Again, as I said, we're going into this Tom Hanks era at the moment, and if we move swiftly on to 2004 with The Terminal.
Yes, one of my favourite movies.
And this Eastern immigrant that finds himself stranded at JFK Airport, but he takes up residency there. And how he got away with that, I do not know.
But Tom Hanks is Victor, isn't he?
Yeah.
With Catherine Zeta-Jones, or Mrs. Douglas, whichever way around you prefer to say her name.
Yeah.
She's on that. But do you know what the link is to Star Trek?
Do you know what? I'm not going to go and have a look.
And there's a link to another big franchise as well, which will give it away if I told you which one it is.
Go on then. You spill the beans.
Well, Dolores Torres.
Oh, okay.
There's your hint. Do you know that? Who played that character?
Oh, my mind is blank as we speak. Go on, tell me.
Zoe Saldana.
Oh, okay.
Who is Gamora or Uhura in Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Trek.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
So that's the link to that film. So I think it was one of the first films that she was on.
Yeah.
But no, it's a brilliant. It's a very sentimental sort of movie, because it's the story of Victor going to America to get the autograph of a jazz musician or singer or whatever for his father's collection, and I think his father had just died or something, and he promised his father he would keep the collection. And then as he's going in through JFK, there is a revolution in his country and his passport becomes invalid, so they can't let him into the country, but they can't send him home, so he lives in the terminal. Yeah. Which I think is fantastic.
It's one of those sort of like, when you get to the end of this film, it gives you that sort of feel-good factor to it. Yeah,
it's a nice warm, gives you a fuzzy feeling inside sort of thing. Yeah, so 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, absolutely, me too. And the next film, if there is any other movie that's disappointing for me, it's going to be this one.
Yes.
And
I know where you're coming from. I'm not necessarily agreeing with you, but I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. Now, because of my my love for Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, which, if you're not aware, is a musical score album of the story, and with Tom Cruise with this American version, it's so disappointing that it's set in America. And really, it's just based on the premise of aliens invading Earth.
Well, a bit more than that, because the ending is based in the book as well.
Yes, obviously you would get the way that the aliens die.
It's taken War of the Worlds, transplanted it to America, and transplanted it to the early noughties.
Yeah, but it's a shame. I was so hyped for this film when I've been wanting to see a sort of a movie version of this book.
Yeah.
But it never lived up. As much as it's one of the highest grossing ones, believe it or not. It's okay. Tom Hanks is okay. Special effects are all right, but that's about as much as I want to say about it, to be honest.
Yeah, to me, it's not one of Spielberg's best. Tom Hanks is fine in it, exactly as you said. It doesn't live up to the long history of War of the Worlds, from the fantastic, original book, the radio series, the original film that was done. It didn't have that spark, so I would say 3 out of 5 for this.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen Munich? I can't remember seeing for a long time, so I don't remember too much about it. I haven't
seen that.
So if we go on to another bad movie then.
Yeah.
So the anticipation of another Indiana Jones film, I think you all must agree we were looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely.
And even the beginning of the film, where you see his hat floating on the floor when he picks it up, and you're thinking it's Harrison Ford, it's Indiana Jones, yay!
Yeah.
And then it's aliens.
Which, to be honest, it wouldn't have bothered me either. It was just awful.
I think it was the wrong type of script for an Indiana Jones movie, basically.
I think, to be honest, I don't think that the script per se was bad. I think that it was more the application of it, because, to be honest, when you actually look at the special effects in this film, it's really very, very ropey special effects. I can't remember now. I'll have to dig it out and put it on and have a look at it. You will, because the special effects do look CG. They are not anywhere near up to the standards of Jurassic Park, which was like nearly 2 decades before. And you think, really, after all of these years, how come you've gone to such awful special effects? It really, it begs beyond belief, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Why he thought it, why he even released it, like in the state it was, because it was just so bad. Yeah, and the other thing, of course, as well, which was a really great letdown, was having Shia LaBeouf as Indy's son.
Poor choice.
Oh, incredibly poor choice, and evidently they didn't get on set either. But they had about as much dynamic interchange between them as Rusty Nail.
Yeah. To
be quite honest, it's like he is Shia LaBeouf's a poor actor. He wasn't up for Indy's son sort of role.
Because the thing,
he didn't fit.
If it would have worked, there's always that thought that maybe that they could have passed the mantle on to him.
I think that's where they were going, to be honest. I think that was maybe Spielberg's thought. But I don't think it actually worked at all. Which, we were desperate for this film to come out. And when it did come out, and it was such an incredible letdown. And the villainess in it, she was poor.
Yeah, I think the only one positive, this was great to see Marion back.
Yeah.
From Raiders.
And of course he marries Marion.
Yeah, but other than that, I would probably, if I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5,
I would give it a 2. But to be honest, this is why it worries me about his intended 2020 release, which he's directing and is announced.
Yeah.
Is please don't do another Indiana Jones movie.
I'm sure in the background he knows that.
It's Harrison Ford is one of my all-time favourite actors, as I've said repeatedly, but he's too old for the role now, for what we want of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Anything would have to be a hand-on, and then it's not going to be Indiana Jones, so just don't make it.
Yeah, well, I think we'll have to wait and see, to be honest. Yeah. So
I have eaten my words before. I was wrong about Star Trek Discovery.
You were?
But I also admit that, and if I'm wrong about Indiana Jones, I'll admit it. But I will also say, told you so, if I'm right.
Yeah, well, just a couple of... But before we go into some mentions because of his producing, because we haven't talked... Yes. I'm sure people are saying, well, where's Back to the Future? Where's the Goonies? Well, we'll have a quick...
Well, we'll already talk about directing.
Exactly. So his last movie that I've seen is Warhorse.
I've not seen this, but to be honest, again, it's
because
a war movie. I have no interest.
I'm just going to say a couple of things about this. Just to quickly say that people that love horses and the be sentimental, they'll love this movie. It's like people that like Lassie or anything else like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was still a great movie. I've seen this probably 2 or 3 times, to be honest. I think my missus is up for going to see the on-stage version, which is supposed to be quite good. So, as much as just for me quickly to say, I'll give that a 3, probably a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
And before we go back in time to some others that we want to talk about, it'd be nice to see if we both get to. I booked my tickets for his latest movie, Ready Player One.
Oh, I am going to see Ready Player One.
So I'm seeing that on the Saturday, which I think is Easter weekend. It's early this year.
Yeah, I won't be seeing it then, but I will be seeing it.
Yeah, so it's released about the 28th of March, roughly, I think it is. I'm going to be going on the Saturday, so that's maybe a day after or so. So I'll hold my thoughts on that until you've seen it. I'm sure I'm bound to mention if we do a show on the Sunday, I'll have a little say on it. Obviously, not a lot, but
I thought we would probably do a special on it.
Well, I think we have to. And yeah, it's can't wait for that movie.
Or maybe it could be the big debate for that week.
Could be, yeah.
But then again, no, I think it's probably better as a special because we don't want to spoil it for people who do want to see it.
Yeah, true. I mean, I am so hyped for this movie. I don't know a great deal. I kept away from spoilers.
What do you mean you've kept away from spoilers? You've read the book?
No, because how much of the book is in the film is not what you're going to see.
No, I know that, but you basically you know what the story is, how it ends.
But the quests and everything else we don't know.
We
know the beginning and we know the end. We don't know how it gets to it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, by the look of the trailers that I've seen of it, with the sound on mute, so I'm not listening to anything.
Yeah.
There is still, the same keys and stuff like that. So.
The keys are there, but it's how you get the keys is slightly different. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, because I think that watching somebody play Joust against Dungeons and Dragons demigod or king or whatever it was would probably not be the best of things.
But I've got to say the showdown, which I think has been heavily in that clip anyway, which is the assault on Castle Anorak.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool, I must admit.
Yeah.
Very very enticing. Do you want to quickly finish on a few of the things that he's produced, that he's been involved in, that obviously...
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just more of a mention rather than an in-depth discussion in them. Obviously, one of the things I never actually realised for quite some time is he's had a big involvement in the Transformers movies. The Michael Bay ones.
Yes, I've got a new
And quite ironically, the actual only movies that I've seen where Shia LaBeouf's good.
Yeah, I didn't get to say that, but yeah, you're right there. It's
because he does play good. I said he was bad in Indy. To be fair, he was. But in Transformers, he was all right. I quite liked him in Transformers.
But if we go back, I think we can go back to 1982 when he produced Poltergeist. First of all,
yes, he did. Yeah,
fantastic movie for a sort of a horror type film. It worked really well. One of my favourites, to be honest.
Well, I mean, right throughout that time there was lots of films because he also produced obviously E.T. just before then as well. But there was also the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah,
that he's done. Gremlins.
I mean, if we say we're talking pop culture and we're talking Ready Player One, for example.
Yeah, which is full of pop culture references to Steven Spielberg movies.
Exactly.
That's produced by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Back to the Future, which is
very
incredible movies.
Yeah, they are absolutely brilliant. But he was also executive producer on The Money Pit.
I'm assuming you have seen that movie.
Yeah, I have. It's
made me cry at some point. His laughter really did. It did. I did sort of laugh out loud in that film, must admit.
Yeah, it's a good Tom Hanks movie, is that one. Very amusing. But he's also was executive producer on Amazing Stories. I remember watching those.
Yeah, how about the young Sherlock Holmes, which I love?
I didn't get on with that, to be honest. But I've never been that interested in Sherlock Holmes to begin with.
Yeah.
He was executive producer on Bigfoot and the Hendersons.
Yeah, remember that one?
Yeah, that was good. Inner Space, again. He was on that as well. Batteries Not Included, executive producer. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, executive producer.
See, I think I saw all of these when they came out in the 80s. These are sort of, I saw all of these, you know.
Yeah, so did I. I can't remember, Dad, what that one was. I can't remember.
Do you remember Always?
No.
So that was Richard Dreyfuss was a
Oh,
pilot.
right, okay.
Was a pilot, and he was his girlfriend at the time, who he was in love with, is Holly Hunter.
Yeah.
And he's working for this. He's not working as a pilot, as in shifting people from place to place.
Yeah.
What they would do is they would go to forest fires to put them out.
All right.
And spoiler, for anyone else knows, he dies. And he comes back as a ghost, and a new guy comes in to the forefray to take his place in the movie. And Holly Hunter falls in love with him, and he's there on her shoulder throughout the whole film. If you want to say it's a good sentimental movie for a Spielberg type,
Yeah.
but it is a really good. It's a really good film. John Goodman's in it as well.
Yeah.
I if you've never seen it, it was worth check out a trailer for it.
Yeah.
I think your missus would like it.
Most likely.
Yeah, no, I put money on it. Gremlins 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
I prefer Gremlins 2 to Gremlins, to be honest.
No, Gremlin. You got to go for the original. One here I didn't even know he was executive producer and uncredited for, which is a film I spoke about a few weeks ago, Cape Fear.
No, I didn't know that either.
And going back, scrolling up a bit there, he was involved with the Flintstones, even Sequest, believe it or not.
I believe it. Again, I think the link with Roy Schneider and Jaws.
I think
may have come in somewhere there.
Yeah.
Who's
Men in
good
Black.
at directing fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Men in Black, it's fantastic, and evidently there's going to be a new Men in Black as well.
Yeah, I did like the last one.
You did or didn't?
I did like the last one.
I've liked all of them, to be honest.
But yeah, they're not bad. I think there's maybe a few films we may have missed if anyone wants to give us a shout for and tell us, but fantastic career this guy's at. He's 71 now.
Did you know that he was on the Flintstones, or executive producer on the Flintstones, and he was credited as Steven Spielberg?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's saying about actually what movies he's actually been in.
I haven't gone through all of his.
No, I don't need to. I can tell you one.
Go on then.
Do you remember the Blues Brothers?
Yeah.
Now, do you remember? Obviously, the premise of the story is that they're trying to earn this money to save the church that they went to, and they get the money, and they're obviously going across Chicago, trying to get to the office before it closes to put the money down so it doesn't get demolished.
Yeah.
And they go into the building that they're being chased by the firemen, the army, everyone, and they get to the top of the stairs, and the guy's not there for the money.
Right.
And then he walks in, to sign the check. And that's Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another one that he's in as well, Austin Powers.
I think
Guy Who Shagged Me.
Yeah, mind you, Tom Cruise is in that as well, wasn't he? So
yeah, well, it was in the same scene, or in the same bit, to be honest, because it was Tom Cruise was playing Austin Powers at the beginning, where everybody thought it was Mike Myers, and then it was Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
and it was Spielberg directing a movie about Austin Powers.
Yeah, so he's got some credited career, this guy.
Yeah. I mean, it was. Do you remember Terra Nova?
Not
too much.
Series
on Sky.
Mm.
It was. He was an executive producer for 13 episodes of that. It was about a future Earth where we've ruined the environment, and somebody invented time travel, and the time travelled back to a point in history which was so far back it wouldn't have interfered with the future.
Oh, okay.
And set up a colony there. So it was like people with dinosaurs and stuff like that, which was... I quite enjoyed it, even though it wasn't probably the best TV series in the world.
Yeah.
But, I quite enjoyed the premise of that one.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you... I'm just looking at producer to come.
Oh, hang on a minute. You just mentioned one other thing. Remember Extant?
No, I don't.
It was Hail Berry, where she was an astronaut.
What, Halle Berry?
Halle Berry, so yeah.
That's a Hail Mary there.
Halle Berry. She was an astronaut, and she gave birth to like an alien creature.
Yeah.
And then, ended up getting some of their powers and stuff like that as well. I think it was it on Amazon? It was released as a series. And then it came on to Sci-Fi afterwards. That was, I really enjoyed that. That went for 2 seasons. It could have gone on for longer. But there was also Under the Dome, where there was a town that was just put underneath this dome and nobody knew why and whatever. So, yeah, there's quite a few series he's been in that have been quite good. Or produced, rather.
Yeah, there's a few announced movies, and obviously we've got a few dates for some as well. There's the possibility of a Halo TV series that he's dealing with.
Didn't he actually do something? Didn't he actually already have done something Halo-wise?
I think he was getting involved with the game regarding the little mini series that was on.
Yeah.
He may have been involved with that. Gremlins 3, which has been rumoured around for such a long time, is a possibility of that. Real Steel 2. Now, do you remember Real Steel?
Yeah, I do. And to be quite honest, this is another one of Steven. Don't make another indie. Don't make another Real Steel. It wasn't a good film.
Yeah. It was all right. It was okay.
It was rubbish.
No, I liked it. Shut up. Anyway,
Cowboys and Aliens as well. That was another very mediocre movie.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, Jurassic World 3 is being announced for 2021 if we're going to go forward into the future.
It's amazing, isn't it? 2021.
And there's one called Bumblebee, post-production 2018.
Yes, that's Bumblebee out of Transformers.
Yeah, it's a spin-off,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's favourite yellow vehicle.
Yeah, I think we're about there, aren't we?
I think we are.
So, would you like to run through your ways of contact? So, email me at steve007@hotmail.co.uk if you fancy. Twitter is steve007 at steve007. Sorry. Gamertag IDs for Xbox and PlayStation. So, Xbox is steve007. PlayStation ID is the real steve007. And Haydn?
My contact details are, we can watch my YouTube channel, which is Haydn Reese Jones. Just do a search for that. Twitter, HERJUK. PSN, Xbox Live, Steam, any other gaming platforms, HERJUK. And also you can email me at herjuk@gmail.com.
So, this has been a pleasure doing this one this afternoon.
Don't forget, we have
our
Facebook group.
Yeah, sorry.
You're forgetting to all of the plugs, aren't you?
I know, I do apologise. It's yes, sorry. Go on, you crack on. We're going to keep what it's all in as it is.
Yeah, so we have our Facebook group, which is obviously Pop Culture Gamers. You can easily find us there. There is a couple of questions for you to answer if you want to join the group, because it is a closed group. If you've got any inquiries, you can email me or Steve, and you can also visit our website at http://2/ and then popculturegamers.podbean.com. And also you can play this on lots and lots of different platforms, including your Amazon Echo, and you can tell the Echo to ask any pod to play Pop Culture Gamers, and it'll play it for you. So there you go.
It's easy as that, isn't it?
It is. Dead easy. But I'm not going to say the name of it because everybody always emails me and tells me off for saying Alexa.
Actually, my Alexa's been very quiet today, so...
It won't be now.
No, it's in the other room, so we're okay.
Yeah, mine's in the other room, but it's within earshot, so it'll probably be flicking around and trying.
I don't know that.
Anyway.
As if by magic she answers.
Yeah. Anyway, so we will talk to you guys again. Thanks a lot, Haydn, again for coming on.
Pleasure.
And we'll be back hopefully for within a week with another mega long podcast that we normally do.
Yeah, mind you, this is
it. So anyway, so it's a good night from me,
and it's a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.